Alright, new material. Quite new, since it's not just rhythm based here and getting them fingers working. So, all this stuff probably best to work with no distortion. Play it clean. This makes it easier to hear any notes that are not coming out properly. As far as like the timing and whatnot, eventually, once you get used to the chord shapes and changing positions and whatnot, good idea to at least be able to play the whole thing at the 60 beats a minute and maybe work it up to no more than 120. But then again, you've been playing for a bit and your sense of timing seems to be pretty good, so if you feel like you can take it past 120 and you know that it sounds good and you're on beat and all that stuff, then that's cool. So let's kind of recap what like how I described this chord shape. So basically you have your power chord, right? But then your middle finger is just going to be added to that next string up. And all these chord shapes are the same here, even when you get to that A minor chord near the end. So I mean, the A minor chord shape here is basically just, you know, taking the open position and just moving it up. Just use your first three fingers when you go to the A minor chord, though. I think like a common question people might ask is like, well, if I'm playing, you know, these shapes here like this, shouldn't I be playing this over here like this? And I'm going to say no, because that's more difficult to get into than that. We want to simplify things and make playing easier than need be. Only make things difficult in order to make things easier in the long run. Anyway, we're not to anything like that yet. Try this up a little bit. Okay. So, play this at 60. And if you find like you're having trouble, let's say going from the C to the E minor chord, just work on just going between those two. Like another thing you can do, just put one finger down at a time as you go between those. That's something that I'll do when I'm playing arpeggio stuff, which is what you're going to be doing on especially exercise 5 for this week. But when it comes to strumming things, then yeah, you have to move like your whole hand. But for the arpeggio stuff, I feel it just kind of keeps things more in uniform, I guess you could say, because you're picking one string at a time. So instead of trying to worry about getting everything down in one spot and then picking one string individually, it just seems to be easier for me to sync one thing up at a time. Hope that makes sense. Let's get the metronome on. Alright. 1, 2, 3, 4. So you might notice like the way I was picking that, what feels good for me is I go down, 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 up, down, 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 up. So you could, I mean, keep it simple. That's not a big deal to do that. I think like when we work on sweep picking stuff is kind of how I developed that turnaround approach there at the end. Simple way, just doing down, all down strokes, and that's fine. If that helps you stay rhythmically correct, go ahead and do that. One reason I like to do the upstroke at the end is it has me coming back down to the lower strings. Now if I was just go, you know, not back down, let's say I was doing, I'll repeat this chord a few times. So when I'm repeating it, I'll do the upstroke at the end. But if I'm not going to repeat it, I'll just finish with the downstroke. So it's kind of like a contextual thing. It's like depending on where I'm going next will determine if I play that top note of the arpeggio with a down or an upstroke. So again, I like to do the upstroke at the end. Kind of helps set me up for the downstroke, starting the arpeggio over again. But if you feel more comfortable doing all downstrokes, then I would do that. Okay. So this one, basically you go same shape here with these, but you're just going to be taking the middle finger off, which is also going to make sure that you can get your pinky up on the tip and out of the way, which is kind of counterproductive by making sure that you can actually keep the pinky down enough to help mute things when you are playing power chord stuff. But in this case, I'm trying to develop a little bit different technique. So I'll just play as a 60 as well. And again, just like the other one, just when you feel comfortable enough, go to the metronome, work on getting the whole thing down at 60. And if that feels comfortable, go ahead and increase the speed a bit. Alright, here we go. 1, 2, 3, 4. So this one's basically the same idea as number 2, just using that chord shape starting on the A string instead. 1, 2, 3, 4. Alright. Okay. So, same approach. Work on getting it to 60. Get your fingers comfortable and whatnot. And then push the speed a bit faster, but still within a comfortable range of speed there. Yeah, so when you're doing the open A5 chord, stick with the bar. So when I'm building the power chords on, or the F5 and the G5, I'll use one finger at a time. For the A5 chord, since I'm only using one finger to bar, I'll just throw that down. I'm not trying to do a one note at a time thing there with the left hand, but I am doing that a one note at a time with the left hand on the F5 and the G chord, or G5 chord. Alright, 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay, so this is the one you're just going to be building the chord one note at a time as you go. But every time you get to the third note, every third note, you'll have 3 fingers down. So here we go at 60. 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay. So hopefully that doesn't feel too weird. Just kind of thinking like with the second chord in each bar is beginning on a upbeat. So, but yeah, hopefully it won't be too strange. I know for some people it'll feel kind of weird, but hopefully that'll go okay with you. Just keep the notes even, just 1 and 2 and 3 and 1 and 2 and 3 and the whole time. Well, I believe that covers everything. But if you have any questions for me for next time, let me know. And I will see you again on Thursday.